Okay. So we are not going to do all the problems in 3.5, but I do have some that I need to get all the way through. So I just have to finish through that. Gotta get this. I think about a page and everything. Oh, we don't have that much. Are we at the beginning of number 2? Yeah. Okay, we don't have that much. All of these things that we're doing in 3.5 are just solving problems. If it's if we can't solve it in exponential, we want to put in logarithm. If it's not able to be solved logarithmically, then we want to put it in an exponential form. So I'm looking at number 2, and this one says use your calculator. So let's get our calculators out. We are going to have to use those on this problem. I'm even going to cue mine up so we're ready to go. Now, if you look at number 2A, it actually looks a lot like the ones that we were doing like on H and I. On these problems, we were able to simplify it to be like a number raised to an exponent equals another number. And then at that point, I said, let's get the same base. Let's get base 3 on both sides. Or let's get, I think on this one, it was base 2. We wanted base 2 on both sides, because if I have the same base, then that means I can cancel the bases out and set the exponents equal to each other. Now, what's going to happen, and the reason that it tells us on this one to use our calculator, is we're not going to be able to get a base equals a base. Like, we're not going to be able to get the same exponent base on each side. So let's start by solving. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. I got to get my number to the exponent by itself. So I'm trying to get that 2 raised to the x plus 1 all by itself. When I divide by 6, I get 2 raised to the x plus 1 equals 3. Now, is there any way that I can say 3 is 2 raised to some power? There's no way. So that's why we needed to use our calculators. This is an example where it's in exponential form, but I cannot solve it exponentially. What we're about to do is like a log roll from exponential form into log form. Okay, so we're going to go backwards. Remember the log rolls that I taught you before? If it was in log form, it was something like log base a of b equals x. And then when we log rolled it, we touched the base first, and then we made like a cursive E. We went all the way through the x, and we finished at the b. So that was a to the x equals b, right? Do you remember doing that? Okay, we're going to go backwards now. And you don't have to do it this way if you don't like it. This makes sense in my brain, so I just like to kind of tell you the little shortcuts, tricks that I know. When I go to log roll it back into log form, I'm going to make like an L shape here. I'm going to start with the base that I see. I'm going to go across to the other side of my equation. I'm going to wrap up and then finish through. So it kind of looks like a big capital L. This just tells me the order in which I write it. So I go down, over, across, and back through. So when I put this in log form, it's log base A. That's the first thing I touched. The second thing I touched was B of B. And then the last thing I touched was X. So now I'm back to the very beginning, exactly how I started. So that's what we're going to do with all of these. We're going to rewrite them in log form based on the exponential roll. So let's do an actual example of this. If I have 2 raised to the x plus 1 equals 3, when I log roll it, I'm going to say log base 2 of 3 equals x plus 1. Log base 2 of 3 equals x plus 1. Now, I taught you how to do log base 2 of 3 in the calculator the other day, didn't I? If you have your special shortcut, you can do math and go down to log base and physically write log base 2 and then of 3. Remember, if your calculator doesn't do it like that, you would have to say log of 3 over log of 2. That should equal the same thing, though, as what I get here, 1.5849 or 5. I'm going to round that. The 9 will round the 4 back up to a 5. And so that's equal to x plus 1. Now it's kind of ugly because I've got this gross decimal, but I can minus 1 from both sides here. And I can get x equals 0.585. You guys okay with that? The reason we had to put that into the calculator is because I could not solve it exponentially. Can we try the next one? All right, what do I need to do before I do my log roll? Sorry, what? What do I need to do first? Divide by 17, good. E to the x is the number raised to an exponent, so I need to get e to the x by itself. 93 divided by 17 is going to be 5.4706. At one point, we rounded to the 4th place. I'll put on the test directions round to this place if you're not sure. I usually go 4 places if I'm not sure. All right, now I'm going to log roll this. I'm going to say log base e of 5.4706 equals x. What is log base e the same thing as? ln. ln, natural log. So it's ln of 5.4706 equals x. I had some of us on the quiz do ln and wrote base 10. No, it's base e. Base e. This actually is even easier than the last one we did. We don't even have to do anything special. I'm going to physically type ln and then 5.4706. And then that's my answer. 1.6994 equals x. That's not too bad, right? You guys doing okay? Hanging in there? All right. I got a few more like that. Can you go try C and D, and then I will join you? You'll have to keep the papers while you're looking at C and D. Did you just throw something as I put it back? All right, I'm gonna go do C and D really quick. So if you were a little lost join me here, I'm gonna divide by 50 on both sides. So I get e to the negative 0.112x equals, it's too early to do math, 4. Now we do our log roll. Log base e of 4 equals negative 0.112. And log base e is ln of 4 equals negative 0.112x. We can do ln of 4. ln of 4 is 1.3863 equals negative 0.112x. And then we divide by that negative 0.112. We say x equals negative 12.3776. Alright, that was letter C. Are you good with letter C? Alright. Let's go do letter D. Similar idea, divide by 3 by everything, 1.173 raised to the x equals 3.24, thank you, Ava. And then we log roll. Bless you. What's it gonna be this time when I log roll? Log base. 1.73 of good equals x. Good. For the most part, I feel like you've done a good job of writing like the big letters versus the small numbers, but remember, whatever my base is gonna be like a much smaller number than anything else. So make sure that you reflect that on your paper. I'm not doing that just to be silly. That is like the base should be a smaller number. So then I'm gonna do my math, go down to my log base, 1.73 and then 3.24. And I get x equals 2.1447.
How do you do it on a calculator?
On the old calculator, you want to set it up into a fraction. It becomes log over log, and the base goes on the bottom. So we're going to put log of 1.73 on the bottom, and so then what we're doing, the log of 3.24 goes on top. So log of 3.24 divided by log of 1.73. And did you get 2.1447? All right, I think you can do E and F without me too. Do you think you can? All right, go ahead, try E and F. I think those are very similar to what we were just doing. Let me join you with E and F really quick. I think it's 4x plus 1. I think that number is a 4. I know it's kind of funky, but I think it's a 4. So on E, I'm going to divide everything by 81. E to the 4x plus 1 equals 2.4691. Log roll. ln of 2.4691 equals 4x plus 1. And then we just start plugging in our calculator. ln of 2.4691 is going to be 0.9039 equals 4x plus 1 minus 1 from both sides, negative 0.09615 equals 4x, divide by 4. And I get negative 0.0240 equals x. Kind of a gross number, but it all worked out. Let me jump into letter F. The only hard part about letter F is you have to move 2 things before you're ready to log roll. I would do my minus 10 first. I'd always do my adding or subtracting before I do my multiplying and dividing. So I've got 5 times 3 to the x equals 190. And then I'm going to divide 5 from 190. And I get 38. Now I'm ready to log roll, so I'm going to get log base 3 of 38 equals x. And then again, new or old calculator, you're allowed to put that in the calculator and go from there. Log of 38 divided by log of 3. Or you can go to math and do your log base, and I get log base 3 of 38. Log base 3 of 38. And I get the exact same number either way. X equals 3.3111. All right, Brian.
How do you do the I?
That's-
The unknown.
ln is just a button on your calculator.
Do we do it the same way? Or like, we put, or.
No, this says ln, which is natural log, and there's a button that says ln on your calculator. So you just press ln and then the number. That's implying that the base is base b. So when I press log in the calculator, it's assuming my base is 10. And when I press ln in the calculator, it's assuming my base is b. So you don't have to do anything. You can just type ln and then the number you're doing the log of. Okay. We've got other types of problems now that we're gonna jump into. So I don't need my calculator, so we're gonna keep moving those along. We've done one similar to this, but I'm gonna add a couple new rules or combining some new skills on these problems. We'll start with A and we'll just kind of work our way through. The very first thing I do when I see a problem like this is I want to simplify. Is there anything I can move to the other side to simplify? Move the 3, how are you gonna move that 3? Subtract, good, minus that 3 from both sides. So I get -2 log base 6 of x plus 2 equals 2. I wanna do one more thing to simplify. What else can I move? Brian? I wanna divide by
Oh, no.
-2, good, get that negative involved. -2 is gonna cancel, so I get log of 6, log base 6 of x plus 2 equals -1. All right, at this point, I cannot do log base 6 of x plus 2 in the calculator. I can't plug that in because I can't have an x when I plug in. So if I have it in log form and I can't solve, I'm gonna put it in exponential form. So I'm gonna do my log roll, I'm gonna put it in exponential form, and I'm gonna get 6 to the -1st equals x plus 2. I'm gonna do that over here, so everyone knows this. 6 to the -1st equals x plus 2. Is everybody okay with that log roll? Okay. Now you can do this a couple different ways. If you want to use your calculator, you can. I'll kind of push through for the fractions and then I'll move it to decimal. 6 raised to the -1st is the same thing as what? 1/6. And then how do I get that x by itself? -2. So 1/6 minus 2 is gonna be -1 5/6. It's also the same thing as -11/6. And if I was to put that in the calculator, I believe it's -1.83. All of those numbers are acceptable for x.
So you're just forget about the log.
We don't forget about the log, we are getting rid of the log by doing my log roll. So by putting it into exponential form, the log just goes away. Remember I told you that we can't have a negative inside my log. However, if I were to plug in this like -1.83 into my parentheses with that +2, it will turn out to be a positive number. So there's nothing I need to worry about there. We're all good. Okay, can we do another one like this? Let's look at the next one. What can I do here? What should I do here to start simplifying? Add 2. +2 + 2. I get 3 ln of x equals 6. What else can I do to simplify? Divide by 3. This might be a silly question, but what's 6 divided by 3? 2. Sometimes we get silly and we forget and we say it's 3. That might mess you up. All right, can you do ln of x equals 2 in your calculator? No. If I can't put ln of x in my calculator and solve for that, so I'm gonna log roll. What's my assumed base here? E, very good. So now we're gonna log roll it. It's gonna be what to the what power equals what? When I log roll it, what does it become? What's my first thing? No logs. We get rid of the logs when we log roll it. There you go. Equals
2 or x.
oh geez. Let's try it again. What is this gonna equal?
Second equals x.
E to the second
I can't.
equals
together.
x. There we go. Remember, the biggest thing is it's so easy to leave that log inside. Get rid of it. When as soon as I log roll, there's no more logs. The reason we were putting logs in on those last problems is because we didn't have a log there. So if we didn't have a log and we were rearranging it, we need a log. Since all of these currently have logs, we don't want one when we go. And you are welcome to put e squared in the calculator, or you're welcome to just leave it as e squared equals x. I cannot simplify that anymore. I can't make it a fraction or a decimal or anything, so that is as good as it gets. Let's do the next one together. What should you do first? Nope. Subtract 2. Now I've got negative log x plus 1 equals 2. What comes next? Yes, divide by that negative 1. I do not want that negative 1 up front. Log x plus 1 equals negative 2. Now what? We're gonna roll it. What's my base? 10. What is it when I roll it?
So negative 2 equals x plus
Perfect. 10 to the negative second equals x plus 1. And again, you're welcome to put this in your calculator. I'm gonna fight through with the fractions and then I'll tell you what it is as a decimal. 10 to the negative second is the same thing as what? 1 over 100, very good, equals x plus 1. I'm gonna minus 1 from that. And that becomes negative 99 over 100 or negative 0.99 equals x. Now, if you forgot, and this is on a calculator part, you could do 10 to the negative second in the calculator and it will just pop out as 0.01. And then you can move on from there. But I do want you to remember something to a negative exponent needs to be turned into a fraction. Now I've got kind of a new skill on letter D. Are you guys ready for that one? Okay, before I do anything, I can't minus or divide or get anything over, but I do currently have 2 logs on the left side. How can I combine these 2 logs into 1 log?
2.
So what? They do have the same base. Multiply it. Very good, Quinn. So when I have 2 logs separated by this plus sign, I'm allowed to condense it. I'm allowed to combine it. I'm allowed to make it smaller, simplify it with a multiplication. So that's going to become log of x times x minus 3 equals 1. All right, now what? Is there any more simplifying I can do? Not really. I'm going to distribute that x in a little bit, but no real step I need to do here. Can I put log of x times x minus 3 in the calculator? Nope. So what do I need to do? Roll it. What's my base? 10. When I roll it, it becomes 10 to the first equals x times x plus or minus 3. 10 to the first equals x times x minus 3. Now, once I get here, sometimes we panic or we do some silly stuff. I want you to just multiply it out. Let's distribute that x to everything. I get 10 equals x squared minus 3x. And I want to get x by itself, but when I have an x squared term and an x term, I'm going to have to factor it. So let's minus that 10 to the other side. So I've got a big quadratic, and then I can factor that down. Very good. X minus 5, x plus 2. So what does x equal? 5 and negative 2. All right, team timeout though. Everybody's okay with our combining the multiplication from the addition? We're okay with the log roll? Okay, what did I tell you you cannot do a log of? Negative number. What will not give me an answer here? Negative 2. That is not an included value. We're not allowed to say negative 2 is a solution because it does not work. So x equals 5 is the only thing that works. That won't happen often, but we do it enough that I want you to see that sometimes there are answers that don't work. All right. Now, this last little bit, these look big and scary, but I promise they're gonna simplify super easily. You guys ready for letter E? Okay, I do have 2 logs on one side though. 2 logs on the left, how can I combine those 2 logs on the left? By dividing. It's a minus, so it's gonna be division. So I'm gonna say log of 7, log base 7 of 2x divided by 3 equals log base 7 of 5. Now, here's a fun rule I haven't taught you yet. We were able to combine the logs when they were on the same side of the equation. Now that I have logs on separate side of the equations, and these logs have the same base, they are going to cancel out. Log base 7 of something equals log base 7 of something else. The logs are going to cancel out, and whatever we're doing the logs of should equal each other. 2x divided by 3 equals 5. This only happens when the logs are on separate sides of the equal sign. If they're not on separate sides, if they're on the same side, then we're going to combine it down. But since they're on opposite sides, we can get rid of it. I'm gonna get rid of that 3, get rid of that fraction by multiplying by 3 on both sides. So I get 2x equals 15, and then I'm gonna divide by 2, and I'm gonna say x equals, you can either leave it as 15 over 2, or you can make it 7.5. Do you think you can start letter F without me? Okay, go ahead, start letter F without me. All right, you guys ready for me to join you? Okay. How am I going to combine the left side? Multiplication. Let's apply those together. So I'm going to say log base 3 of x times 4. Oh, I can make that 4x. That's nice. Equals log base 3 of x minus 2. Now what?
Cancel the log.
Why?
The same base.
The same base are on opposite sides of the equal sign, so I get 4x equals x minus 2. Then
Subtract the x.
minus x. And then
5 by 3.
5 by 3. Do you see how in a lot of these we're getting kind of weird answers? I'm hopefully you think that I've done enough of these examples that you don't get too riled up when you're doing like your study guide or get to the test, you get kind of funky answers. There's just a lot of weird answers that come with this. So don't let that second guess yourself. Okay, I do want to do 2 more problems. we are not gonna do ones like G and like I, but we are gonna do H and J. I will not test you on these problems, but we have a few minutes and I would like to kind of expand, if we can. So we're gonna do H and J. We are not gonna worry about G and I for right now. I will not test you on ones like H and J, okay? But I think that we can solve them. Do you remember what these are called? What kind of equations these are?
Logistic.
Those are logistic equations. So we're gonna solve these. The goal is to get X all by itself, okay? Does anyone have any idea on how we maybe would start this? Ryan? We're gonna cross multiply. Let's make that 150 over 1. And we're gonna multiply the denominator by 150 and 400 by 1. So I'm gonna say 150 times 1 plus 95 e to the negative 0.6x is equal to 4. What I probably could have done at the same time was actually distribute that 150 to everything, but I'm gonna do that now. So 150 times 1 is 150, 150 times 95. Okay, 14,250. And that's times e raised to the negative 0.6x, all equals 400. Okay, so all we've done was cross multiplied and distributed. What happens next? Subtract that 150. So I get 14,250 e raised to the negative 0.6x equals 250. And then what? We're gonna divide by that 14,250. Because we're trying to get, just like we were doing before, we're trying to get the number raised to the exponent all by itself. Now, normally when we divide numbers like this, I'm gonna say like, I really want you to keep it a fraction. I really want you to keep it a fraction. This one, we're gonna have to do e to some power in a little bit, so I don't mind that it becomes a decimal. 250 divided by 14,250, which is 0.01754. Now that we've gotten all the way down here, can we do e to the negative 6 or negative 0.6x in the calculator? We can't do anything with an x in the calculator. So if you're trying to do a log or an exponent with an x, then we have a problem. If I can't solve it exponentially, that means I have to put it in log form. Can we log roll this? What would this be if I put it in log form? The L. So log base what? Good. Well, no, what's my base?
It's the E.
The E, okay. Oh, so I don't need to do log base E, I can just write ln, right? Ln of that big decimal equals negative 0.6x. Oh, can you do ln of that big decimal in your calculator? Yeah, kind of ugly, but we can do it. Negative 4.0432 or 33, I guess, equals negative 0.6x. And then we divide by that negative 0.6 and I get x. So x is going to equal 6.7388. All right, letter J looks a lot like it. Do you think you can start that without me?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys go right ahead. Start that without me. Let me see if I can pass it a couple more papers. On the one we just did. You guys ready to talk about the next one, or you still need a minute? I'll zoom into the second part over here, and then I'll get to the new one in a second. Look at the very last one. So we're gonna solve it just like we were doing before, put it over one, and we're gonna cross multiply. I got 200 times 1 plus 25 e to the 0.3x equals 500. I'll distribute that. I get 200 plus 5,000 e to the 0.3x equals 500. Let's minus that 200 from both sides. 300. We're gonna divide by that 5,000. E to the 0.3x equals 0.06. So I have e to the 0.3x equals 0.06. Is everybody okay with that so far? All right, now is when I log roll, do our L. Base e is the same thing as ln, so ln of 0.06 equals 0.3x. Let's do ln of 0.06. I get negative 2.8134 equals 0.3x, and then we divide by 0.3. Not gonna work, okay. And I get x equals negative 9.3780. How are we feeling? Good? Awesome, Andrew.
I have a question about, add under number 3, there was negative 2/3, but you said we can have like negatives, so would that be like in the solution?
Oh, great point. Yes, I did bring that up when we were there. Thank you so much. Yeah, we were supposed to go back and look, and if I were to plug negative 2/3 into either one, it would give me a negative number. So while that's the number we found, we definitely should have written no solution. Yeah, great point. Yes, Ryan.
Would that be the same?
A also on number 2,
Under
number 3, excuse me. I think if you plugged in that negative 1.83, negative 1.83 plus 2 is still a positive number, so that actually works out. Yeah, good question.
We haven't done it.
Yep. There should be nothing on 3.5 that's anything that we skipped. You guys have plenty on there. So we'll go over 3.5 and then we'll review tomorrow, and then we have a test on Wednesday.